Hey guys, this is Konstantin. This is your favorite channel about fundraising and sales. And today let's talk about storytelling. I wrote a book about storytelling based on my experience of working with hundreds of companies who were mostly raising money but also focused on some sales storytelling. And let's again today just talk about the basic structure of storytelling narrative, maybe in your pitch decks or in your narrative in your pitch. So it all should be based on several simple and very important steps. So let's start first from that context. Context you want to create with your narrative. And how we usually do this. If you refer to my previous video about pitch deck structure for fundraising, then those storytelling slides gonna be the problem slide, for example, or why now slide, or for example the market slide. So all those slides should start in telling a story about why your market is changing, why it's not changing. So what's going on with a bigger context. It should be focused on those very important trends on your market, and do not jump right into the solution part, because I see that problem all over and over again. Like, people start jumping to the conclusions, to the solution, and you don't need to do it just yet. So the first part, to give this bigger context, big picture, if you want, of your market, of your niche, of your solutions, but don't talk just yet about what you exactly do. Just explain what's going on. That also will give a great perspective of you as an expert on this market. I talked with many venture capitalists, for example, and they would love to hear your opinion about that market. And it's great value exchange, because you are the founder, for example, who's building a company on that market, and you know a lot about what's going on. They want to know your perspective, your take, why are you choosing this niche, this market. And that's why it's so valuable and very usually well received, because people want to know your expertise, your understanding. That's why it's so crucial to give this big picture as a first part of your storytelling narrative. The second part gonna be about maybe add some drama. That's my really favorite part. And you basically can talk about winners and losers, as in my favorite article of Andy Raskin, called The Greatest Sales Deck I Ever Seen. I will give you a link. But it also can be about why those existing players cannot keep up with the technology, with the progress, with the change, or maybe why they don't want to. There are a lot of incentives, and sometimes they don't want to innovate. The third part gonna be your dream, your vision, how you think the world will look like if your company, if your solution, if your trend, which you're leading, gonna win everything in the next 10 years. Explain this world to the potential investors or your audience. Only after creating this background and foundation of your storytelling for business, you can start talking about your solution. And I like how it's made in an Andy video article. It's made in this format, old world, new world. But there are a lot of different formats. For example, that very basic problem solution is also part of it. You can talk about the problem as an old world, solution as a new world, but basically you explain in details what you do, what value your solution brings, in more like detailed perspective. You can give print screens, you can explain some specific smart solution. So basically you want to show that you're smart in every dimension, of course, but that's an important and big part of it. The last part is really simple. You just explain what you already done. You explain how you go into that goal. You can basically explain your traction, but it can be anything. Of course, best of all, if you have a money traction, a revenue, but you can connect the dots even if you just started your idea and you have some good movement towards your goals. I think that's it from me today, guys. Subscribe to that channel, ask me in comments. I will create more videos about storytelling and basically about pitch decks, about all this area. I worked a lot during the last several years. I also create a community of people who focused on fundraising here in San Francisco. If you would like to join us, sign up. I will provide all the links. That's all. Thank you very much. Bye.